At Your End Step is brought to you by Comic Town and BCW Supplies. Hello, and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan. I'm here with Dave.
Hello.
And Mike.
Hello.
And we have another fun-filled episode for you folks. Plenty of stuff to talk about. We have a bunch of community stuff about GP announcements, Pro Tour announcements, player club changes, amongst other things, including a little bit of a story, visit from Mike.
The tier story corner.
Yes, the big tier story corner. And then, of course, we had a lot of tournaments happen over the weekend. So we had Toronto and Kyoto, which were limited. But we also had Star City Games Atlanta, which is a team event. So we could definitely glean some information off of that and the classics, of course. And then we have the Pro Tour coming up. If you're in the Eastern Standard Time Zone, tomorrow at 8 p.m. So we definitely wanted to talk about that, see where Standard's at, and kind of go from there. And but we might as well get started as far as our community subjects go. So first and foremost, we had some GP announcements, which are fairly exciting. Now, due to we have the 25th anniversary Pro Tour, which is going to be a team event. There is more of a bend or more of a focus on team events in the GP level to kind of facilitate this, so we can have stories actually kind of come through the GP circuit into the Pro Tour by having some GPs that are like this. And I know that there is a GP Columbus that hopefully will stay GP Columbus.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So that's very exciting, and that's a team limited GP, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
It is.
It's very exciting.
Pretty excited. The last time we got excited about this, they took it away. So
yeah,
tentatively excited, and
hesitantly
even
excited.
keeled.
Actually, like the last two tournaments that we were supposed to get got taken away.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna wait and see on that one. It's next April, so
Right.
you have a little while. They still have time to switch it.
And they're also doing tandem GPs. So multiple GPs at the same location of different formats. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, different formats. Yes, and we have Seattle and Vegas. And Japan. There's one where it's not in the U.S.
Yes, I believe so.
Birmingham, England.
Oh, that's what it is.
Oh, sorry. They said that Japan's going to get one in the second half of the season.
Oh, gotcha.
So, I think it's pretty sweet. We do see something. Maybe it happens more often than I thought, but we have a couple of cities that get repeats really, really quickly. So, like Toronto has one in February and also one in May.
Now that Toronto one, I might go to. I said maybe next time. That happens
true.
right around my birthday too, so I'll be like, "This is what I want for my birthday."
to go
I'm
to
gonna get away and play Magic.
Is that the team constructed one?
No, it's modern.
Okay.
The one the first one's modern, but in May it's team constructed.
That's what,
and
it is.
That sounds sweet.
Yes. So that's the first time that we see that coming from a wizard, like a GP official
from a
sort of
GP.
thing. Those have typically been.
So thank you, Star City.
Yeah, yeah. Those have typically been Star City Games things, and now Wizards like, oh wait, we can do that, and people will go. And
Well, you guys like that?
Oh,
Oh, well, all right.
might as well.
The like you mentioned with the team format GPs that we're getting, there's more of there's more clarity now on how you can actually qualify for that 25th anniversary Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Which I guess we'll probably get into, but the team GPs is one of the ways you could qualify.
Correct. I guess that does lead us into. Was there anything else for GPs that you guys want to talk about? There's a smattering of everything. The only thing that's really changed is there's an increased amount of team events. So if that's not your thing, that is unfortunate. But there's still plenty of solo events across the entire range of the formats that you should be able to find something that you want to attend.
Yeah, they broke it down, and this is just for the first half of 2018.
Right.
And they had standard has the most GPs at 15. Then you have limited and modern with 13 and 12 respectively. 4 legacies, 9 team limited, 4 team trios constructed, and 3 team unified modern, which they're bringing that back again.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure most people would probably rather do the team trio constructed.
Probably,
But, hey, if you don't have
yeah.
a legacy player, which might be a little difficult, then maybe team unified modern is a better fit.
Good alternative, yeah. So Pro Tours. So we are going, seeing where the next Pro Tours are going to be happening, and some interesting things with that. So
I don't know what we did. I don't know what I did, but getting punished by where the Pro Tour schedule is stopping next year.
So we have Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan, which is going to be in Bilbao, Spain. We have Pro Tour Dominaria, which is in Richmond, Virginia.
Why?
Just more L's for Columbus.
Yep. Pro Tour 25th Anniversary, which is going to be in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Pro Tour Spaghetti, which will be
Pro Tour Spaghetti.
in Spaghetti. Yeah,
Spaghetti.
It'll come out of nowhere. It'll get you. It'll surprise you.
Spook ya.
It'll spook you. Yeah. It's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, and then the World Magic Cup is going to be in Barcelona, Spain.
So you're saying all the Pro Tours and World Magic Cups, it's only going to be in the United States and Spain.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And they got the lion's share of the events.
Play the game, see 2 countries.
Exactly two.
I feel like we just had a Pro Tour in Atlanta. I know it was probably a couple years ago now, but it feels like it was really recent.
I mean, we've also had multiple events in Spain recently, so I don't know. Oh, it is.
So formats.
The other countries aren't letting them in anymore.
Formats for these tournaments. So for Pro Tour Dominaria, we have standard or booster draft, and the 25th anniversary we've already gone through is team constructed, and then Pro Tour Spaghetti is standard or booster draft. But Rivals of Ixalan is modern and booster draft.
it's back
The people's format returns to the
for like
throne.
the third time.
So I don't think I'm excited about this.
Oh, I'm not, because they're going to ruin modern again.
Correct.
But
Exactly. So modern gets the spotlight back on it, which means they're going to mess with the format, and I don't appreciate that, because I think modern is really pretty good right now. It is in a good place, and people come out in droves to play it still. So you can't tell me that it's a bad format.
let's give them the benefit of the doubt here. There is some logic behind them returning to modern, because
People watch it?
No, well, yeah, but I mean, we talked about it before, but them going back to as far as rotation, what we had before, and then sort of freeing the Pro Tours from set releases, and also then having less set releases technically with not a small set, means you can put modern in a position where maybe the new standard set, or there isn't a new standard set really that close to it, et cetera, et cetera. You have a little more freedom, I think, as opposed to just tying it directly to the set with your release time. So they sort of have allowed themselves to sort of put this wherever they want to, and it makes sense to go back to modern for that reason.
I guess it makes sense. I mean, they kept hammering down about how, the Pro Tour, we need to highlight the new set, and
Yeah, you also need viewers.
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings about it. Obviously, I love modern. I'll definitely watch it. But yeah, I do have the same kind of worry that they're going to feel like they need to mess with the ban list. Hopefully not. I mean, modern's in a pretty good place right now. Hopefully they don't feel like they need to ban a bunch of cards to make it interesting.
Did you see the deck that Todd Stevens played this weekend? I think modern's got plenty of room.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a difference between the players that we see at the Pro Tour that that don't necessarily show up to start to the game events, where modern really is sort of the bread and butter of that tour. And I feel like they're very opinionated on what modern is and the reasons why they don't like it. And I think that influences WotC's choices and decisions.
Maybe they don't like it, and WotC brought it back anyways.
Hey,
And their opinion would be, let's not play it. So I think there's a middle ground there.
Yeah, I would say, from what I could tell, a majority of the pro community is probably not in favor of a modern Pro Tour. But, I mean, there are certain pros. I mean, Li Tian he's always done very well at the modern Pro Tours. You have...
Friend of the show, Josh McClain.
Yeah, Josh McClain.
Modern was the format that pretty much got him on everything.
Yeah, I don't think they're bringing back Birthing Pod, unfortunately.
No, but
but yeah, I know what you mean.
the
Patrick Dickman
Yeah.
is another guy that's like
Again, don't think they're bringing back Twin.
not bringing back Twin, but he top aided with Affinity,
Yeah.
so he's shown he could play different decks. So.
Yeah, I think it gives a little bit of like room for people who can show a little bit more range too. So hopefully, yeah, like, we know the Doom and Glue can go with it, but let's give it a minute and be positive.
Yeah.
Just a minute.
So, all right, I'm going to change it up.
All right.
So we kind of glossed over this, but the Pro Tour 25th anniversary is what they're calling it. Team constructed, meaning that we'll have Legacy on the Pro Tour.
First time in a long time.
First time in a long time.
Like
Long time.
was it called Legacy even the last time it was on the Pro Tour?
I don't know how long it's been, but it's
Tinfoil hat theory. They make Frontier an official format in bump up Legacy.
No, that's
That's obviously
terrible.
not happening, but it is hilarious.
No, like it's not. Yeah, that's about as realistic as the. Oh well, they're obviously reprinting dual lands now that they put it on the Pro Tour.
Oh yeah,
circuit,
no, that's
right?
not happening either, folks. Sorry.
Yeah, that actually reminds me. That was a pretty funny Twitter post by Frank Lepore this week talking about Frontier. About like, hey, remember Frontier?
Yeah,
Hey.
that's why it's actually in my memory at all. So
But I mean, people did raise a good point. Where it's like, well, when you make your formats great, like Standard's pretty good right now, and like Modern's great. And it's like when you make the formats actually good, then people don't need to invent new formats to have fun.
yeah, that's exactly
Wow,
what we said.
weird.
When you fix the format, then all these joke formats go away.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how quickly I came around on Standard because I was pretty. I think we
Oh, no,
all
it
kind of in
feels so
that
much
same
better.
boat.
Yeah.
like we were about as negative as you could be, and I think that came through in the show.
I was playing a bunch of Moto this last week and a half. Like,
Yeah,
that's where I'm at with Standard.
right. But I think like we're all like pretty excited about Standard and pretty excited about this upcoming Pro Tour. But anyway, yeah, make good formats, and we won't have to invent fake ones, I guess.
Yeah. Did you want to say anything else about PT25? Did we talk?
Oh, the price structure.
Yeah. There you go.
You mean the $1 million prize pool that there are? The Dr. Evil level prize pool.
Yeah.
As all the other companies go. Oh, all right.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, okay.
You know you can ask for more, right?
But I think it's important because they also announced PBTQ and RPTQ information with this, and it's kind of interesting how this is going to work because there's going to be the RPTQ that feeds into this is going to be a special RPTQ that is Team Unified Standard, and
That's how it was in the last Team Pro Tour.
but only one person in your group of 3 needs to have qualified for the RPTQ to play.
right.
So,
So, Mike, you go ahead and
yeah,
qualify.
trust me. I already told I told Katie. I said, well, I think it's going to
Yeah.
be on me. So
Yeah, you go ahead and qualify, and then drag our sorry asses to the RPGQ.
I mean, I will try. I will be out there.
you will try.
I will try. And we can there could be strategies. We can figure it out. Like we can devise ways to, to do this.
I could befriend better players.
No, but
Oh,
I mean,
nothing. I was just trying to get you both. Wow.
that's very true. You could. No one's stopping you.
Yeah, they are.
But no, so theoretically there is some level of strategy though to assumedly if you live in a big enough state that offers like multiple PPTQs across the state, like is it more beneficial for you go and try to block, or is it
all go to different
beneficial
ones?
go to different ones? Like there is some level of strategy to like trying to queue for this thing through the PPTQ system, which is at least more compelling than how it's been with the current PPTQ system and like how you queue and stuff like that.
I agree.
You might still be going to like tournaments solo, but I mean, you also have a sort of team component to it. I'm not sure if that's what WotC necessarily wants to be happening at the PPTQ level, but I mean, it is what is going to happen. So
It's important to note that when I say the PPTQs, those are still individual events.
Yes.
That's why Morgan's talking like this. So the PPTQs that feed into the team RPTQ are still individual events.
right.
So,
But only one person needs
Right.
to qualify, then you can take 2 unqualified friends with
Yes.
you, as long as they are not already
Unqualified.
qualified.
you can take unqualified however you want.
unqualified, underqualified, same difference.
So I think that's pretty sweet. There's also another way to queue for RPTQs, but that goes into our next section.
Real quick before we move on, I just want to say, so the $1 million prize pool, I guess when you compare it to some other games, that have large prize payouts, sure, it's not great.
Multi-million-dollar
But
prize pools, yes.
there is something to be said for just the number. Just the number just stands out as, okay, $1 million prize pool on the line.
Yeah.
And that's one way to get people excited, potentially bring new people to the game. They say, wow, this Magic has a Pro Tour that's giving away $1 million. Like, that's pretty cool. Maybe that's something I want to try. Or, I don't know. It's just another way to market the game. So I'm glad that they're doing it. It's looking like it's probably only going to be a one shot for this Pro Tour, at least for now. But it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, agreed. So the my sort of segue there was into the Pro Players Club changes.
Yeah, that's true. So we are kind of getting a new level, or bringing back a level.
Yeah.
Of the Pro Players Club, which is bronze. So you need 10 pro points to queue for bronze, and they'll queue you for an RPTQ. Or is it every RPTQ, so long as you continue to be qualified?
If you are bronze, then yeah, I think you're just auto queued for the RPTQs.
It is also important to note that they're going to have shorter seasons with the Pro Players Club, so you could kind of jump on mid-season to the Pro Player Club, providing that your points match up, basically. So you have enough points to jump on or ascend to a different threshold than you can at the beginning of the new season, instead of having to wait a whole year.
They wisely announce these changes now, and they don't take effect, at least with the new season system for the Pro Players Club. It doesn't take effect until September of 2018.
With the exception of bronze, that exists now.
Well, bronze goes into play immediately, but that's upside.
Yeah,
that's just all upside. There's no downside.
It's good.
To that.
It's good.
So that's good. And then they figured out that like making last minute changes and then having it affect people like right away when they've already made plans, like maybe not the best idea. So as we have a season coming to an end with this Pro Tour. This is the last Pro Tour of the season. And then the next one starts technically on July 31st. And so this goes into effect after that full cycle, which goes from July 31st of this year until September 16th of 2018. So plenty of notice on this.
Yeah, and I think I like the idea of the seasons, the smaller shifting seasons for this, with the cap, the 3-event cap. And it mentions here that some of the things they're trying to address, they've been trying to address the concessions issue at Pro Tours, especially the last Pro Tour of the season, specifically this one, for a long time. We saw things like them hiding pairings, that sort of thing. And this was like one of those things to sort of like reduce that, you know what I mean? Like there isn't a last one of the season technically. They're all going to be just as important depending. It also, like they mentioned, the quality of life for players, you know what I mean? That way you don't feel compelled like BBD did before he qualified for the World Championship, which is much fun as it was for us to watch at the same time for that poor guy, you know what I mean? I
think he would tell you it was probably worth it.
It probably was, but you could also have done like a weird like Home Alone, like Run Rudolph running through airport montage for him, which, man, I think I'd pay good money. BBD, let's talk. But I don't know. I feel like this seems like a very well thought out change. And obviously, yes, by setting it up to be a year from now, they even leave some time for contemplation, feedback. Gosh, it's almost like it's a smart decision. Wizards, I don't know what you're doing recently.
They're learning. They're learning. It's good.
I mean, they got the new CEO, so
that's true.
I think that helps.
What was his name again? Like Tom Hiddleston or
no? It's Chris Cox, right?
I don't know.
I think it's Chris Cox.
I think what I'm going to start doing is every time we mention that guy from now on, I'm just going to say a different celebrity name instead.
That's fine.
So.
You'll be wrong every time.
Yeah, John Travolta.
Yep, he took over Watsley.
It's good.
You'd never know it. Into Scientology, also Magic: The Gathering. Very conflictory, but he makes it work.
Did you say conflictory?
Yes.
What?
He had some conflictoration there.
I'm allowed to make up words.
That's like a Simpsons-esque, like.
Hey.
Oh my gosh.
I wear my Homer Simpson very well. Anyway. Speaking of making up words, so Mike, you wanted us to touch on the story that is going on in Amonkhet.
Yeah. So today, since it's kind of nice because I could talk about it this week. We recorded a day later because of Dave.
It's all my fault.
I don't want to say
Because
too.
of life.
I don't know if I want to say it too judgmental or even more judgmental. Like because of Dave.
You act like you didn't have something planned for last night, but
I didn't have anything planned for last night.
Okay,
I didn't.
we talked about it last week, but
Didn't
that's okay.
go. I didn't. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't go.
Well, just because you didn't go doesn't mean that you didn't have plans.
I'm going to make a motion that no one cares. Move on. Talk about the story.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, so the story today was the last in the Hour of Devastation storyline, which was finally the Gatewatch fighting Nicol Bolas. And if you have been or haven't been reading, like if you haven't been, I will say the last few stories leading up to this have been pretty gruesome. Actually, there's been a lot of just death, which you might say like, oh, okay, but like it's a surprising amount. Like when you go back and like read like the Battle of Zendikar like stuff, most of the people were just sort of already dead. Like by the time the Gatewatch is fighting, like they'll draw. But this is not that. This is like the only real city left on Amonkhet is getting just like ransacked by the Eternals, and only a small group of them and Hazaret like make it out into the sands. Like it's not very much. So the Gatewatch themselves are pretty beat up when they already go to fight. And Nicol Bolas, I just have to say, I don't know if it's just like I feel like Nicol Bolas speaks with the internal dialogue of everyone at Wizards who is just tired of the Gatewatch in general. He is hilarious and sarcastic and just does not care. He literally is like measuring their plan, and he's like, I don't know, their plans are probably to zombie or to fire or to illusion. It's I mean, he's just really funny, but like he picks them apart very easily, and it was actually really satisfying. I know maybe that sounds sadistic, but from a storytelling element, like this seems like. Now, granted, you could still argue this is following a very similar plot structure, whereas the team came together, had early victories, but now here's the big thing that pulls them apart, civil war, have you, and eventually something, like Nicol Bolas will bring them back together eventually. But it did break them down individually. We saw Jace literally having his mind being destroyed by Bolas pretty much without trying. I think the important thing was how much Bolas didn't have to try. He was just like I was a god, and I don't mean like God-Pharaoh. He's like, I was literally omnipotent for most of my existence. Like, you are nothing. Jace has to planeswalk away so his mind doesn't melt, and
so he doesn't get that memento disease.
Yeah, he's like, he's got those Liliana tattoos now, where he's like, I don't know.
He's got pictures of Nicol Bolas and just says, "Don't trust him" on the back.
Nicol Bolas is going to show up with a mustache later. He's like, I don't know. Liliana literally was going to fight, but she got really afraid. And then he's like, yeah, you don't want to fight me. You know what I can do. You should just leave. And she's like, okay. He's like, I'll call for you later. And she's like, okay. And she planeswalk away. Like, he literally just tells her to planeswalk away, and she does. Chandra, he is able to pretty much dispatch really easily while making fun of her. Nissa puts up a good fight, to be quite honest, but he controls the plane, so when she's trying to tap into the plane, Bolas is like, no, this is mine. Do you understand? And Gideon's the best one. He bounces Gideon like a basketball for a while, actually just a basketball in his little orb, then stabs him through his orb, and he's like, I can kill you whenever I want, but why don't you planeswalk away now? It'll be funnier. And he does. And then Tezzeret shows up very distinctly after the fighting's done. And Tezzeret, essentially, he has to go talk to Ralzeric, which, fun times. Ralzeric is apparently also a villain.
Yep.
We know he was sort of just like a rogue, but man. And it says that he still has his planar portal. So at the end of this, we have Nicol Bolas with an army of Eternals with a planar bridge, and the Gatewatch had not even coming close to doing any damage to him. This is a pretty sweet setup. We haven't had anything this dark since the end of New Phyrexia. And I think that's the only time we've had something this dark. Am I crazy? Because didn't we the only time we've actually fought, when's the last time you fought a real villain? I guess you say Battle for Zendikar, but again they killed them without even trying.
Yep, don't blow them up.
Eldritch Moon didn't seem like it was.
Nope, put her in the moon.
And even the last time we saw Bolas, didn't he lost to Ajani, right? Wasn't that the thing? Ajani Vengeance actually brought him down for that moment. So
Yeah, how did that happen?
He was real angry.
He's just a real angry kitty.
Oh,
So if you get angry enough, then you can beat.
fun fact,
Bolas?
actually, Gideon got super angry. Like, stop planning angry. Chandra levels of angry. We were gonna see that Boros. I think we're gonna see that Boros Gideon now. And I hope it's like Boros Gideon with an eye patch too. Like, but he's got one on the different eye. So, and you could like the rest of the story, he just like stands a lot closer to Johnny until Johnny starts piecing it together, and he's like, "Really, guy? Get your own thing."
Get your own thing.
Hopefully that's
Stop
like
being a copycat.
yeah. Hopefully that's like 3 years from now because yeah. Great.
So, but I just wanted to point out that, like, storyline wise, like, one, you had a really refreshing voice in Bolas. Like, I know sometimes it's easier to write for a villain because if someone's all powerful or whatever, but like this felt kind of great. Like the Gatewatch needed to be shown that they were not that strong. They didn't really work that well together. And now that we know we're not going to get as much of the Gatewatch, this is going to be sort of a slow burn back to the next time we actually fight against Bolas, and that feels like it might be earned a little bit better than the storyline has felt recently. So it seems like a step in the right direction, and seriously, go read this story. Nicol Bolas has some of the funniest lines. Like, it's actually laugh out loud funny if you care at all about the story. So.
I'm sure Johnny is going to have some questions for Liliana when he meets her on Dominaria. But like, where's the rest? I'm like, oh, funny story.
So I smell sand because I'm a cat. I can smell it. I smell sand. Where were you?
About that.
The beach. There's a big beach world. Lots of beaches. It's excellent.
Okay. So anything else story-wise?
No, that's it, though. I just wanted to talk about that.
This isn't on here, but I did want to bring it up because I know some people will probably really enjoy this. San Diego Comic-Con was over the weekend, and there was a panel that Mark from Rosewater was on, which is pretty much all about Unstable, and it was really interesting, and it is something that they are doing with it that it kind of brings it more in line with like how they make current sets. Like, it has a story, like there is some level of cohesion to it, and basically the plane of Unstable is it's like a mad scientist world, which just sounds amazing to me, with all the wacky stuff, and they have like even like color paired off like guilds
almost, yeah.
Basically, for these different kind of mad scientist things. And the big thing to come out of this is there's going to be a black bordered card in Unstable besides like basic lands, and it is Steamflogger Boss. And they're doing contraptions, which it feels like if you've played Magic for a while, like that is the longest running joke, and maybe not the longest running joke, but a very long running joke from Future Sight about this card that literally does technically nothing. They eroded like Oriok rigger to be a rigger, so you did it. But yeah, you are going to actually be able to see what they do with that, which will be pretty hilarious, I think. And he talked about the basic lands, and this is always an exciting thing for the unsets, is they usually have very, very pretty basic lands. These are going to be John Avon lands, which we knew that he was working on a special set of 5 lands, and this is what they are for. And they will potentially be borderless, is what Mark Rosato was saying.
Yeah, that sounds hot. I just need you to understand. That sounds
so simply
so
nice. They would still have the black border, like the very edge of the black border still around them, because technically they are still black bordered cards. I don't know, maybe not, but
yeah, I want to know what that looks like.
I also
they're gonna do something sweet. It's not text only, which is still I think the coolest idea I've heard. But sounds great.
But yeah, so just a little more information about Unstable. So if you can, I would encourage you to. There's some pictures from his talk and everything like that, and some of the artwork is hilarious. So definitely take a look at that. But I think it's everything for the community. Before we jump into the competitive segment, definitely want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Comic Town. They are at their new location, and they have it really, really nicely set up. So definitely, if you are local, make the trip down there. The FMMs for the next 2 weeks are going to be Hour of Devastation winner boxes. So that's going to be for both limited and standard, correct?
Yep.
I mean, you'll have some probably some early access to some Pro Tour decks, so you can check them out on Friday morning and bring them to the FNM, man. So definitely go to FNM this week at Comic Town, win yourself a box of Hour of Devastation. All right, competitive. So we had GP Toronto, and it was limited. We had the winner being Robert Anderson. So congratulations to him. How you have it written out here is this? It just says Robert Anderson wins. I was gonna say that like it was his like it was his name, Mr.
That's
Robert
right.
Anderson wins.
I think they were supposed to say from Montreal, but if you look at the actual GP Toronto website, it just says Montreal Robert Anderson wins. So I was just completing the joke, I guess.
So congrats to him. A notable top 8 was Andrew Cuneo, so Gainsay himself, showing up in the top 8.
Jace's defeat.
Well, I mean, he hasn't changed it, I'm sure,
he's
but
OG.
yeah,
He's OG.
Jace's defeat. But he should be Jace's defeat now. He's just a strictly worse version of a card now. It's very unfortunate. So congrats to him. I think the more exciting tournament, obviously, is GP Kyoto, because that is where it is the same country where the the PT is going to be happening.
Same site, I think.
Same site, even. Yeah. And that was won by William Huey Jensen. So shout out to him defeating Finkel in the finals. Correct.
Finkel was in the semifinals.
Semifinals. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Semifinals.
He beat somebody. Which
I'm sure he did beat somebody in the
It's
finals.
not showing me. It's not showing me the bracket.
All
The
right,
bracket
where is
didn't
it?
show up on the main page
Where is
immediately. I'm
it?
sorry.
Oh, nice.
This is his back-to-back. Like, because they won Cleveland.
They won the team. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, like he literally played these 2 GPs, won them both.
That's awesome. I mean, it must feel pretty good to win like a limited GP going into a pro tour, because I feel like your limited game is something that a lot of people really try. Like that's what your team practice I feel like focuses on a lot. And so I'm sure that Jensen and probably their entire team, because I mean Finkel is also on the same team, so I'm sure like they probably felt pretty good at where they stand in their run of the limited table. So
Like I say, I didn't watch a whole lot of this tournament. They did stream it, but I did go back and watch the Finkel versus Huey Jensen match just because I wanted to see that. There's a real clash of the Titans, and
for sure.
Huey's deck was pretty gross. He had Archfiend of Ifnir, and he sided in was it Feast of Scarabs? Is that the enchantment?
Oh yeah.
And then he just went bananas.
Yeah,
with
just
that.
like give all your creatures -1/-1 counters. Oh, look at all these scarabs I get.
I got all these bugs. Weird.
Yeah. Game 2 ended with that little combo happening.
Your creatures are full of bugs.
Yeah.
That's weird. This weird Nightmare Before Christmas land we're living in.
Every one of your creatures is an Oogie Boogie. We also had Mark Mueller and Pascal Manor being in the top 8 as well. So obviously a lot of good people in Kyoto already. So
I'll give a shout out to Lucas Kiefer. He had himself a good tournament. He was undefeated on day one. And I want to say this. I mean, I'm assuming he's there for the Pro Tour. I don't think he would just travel for this.
Yes, he is.
But yeah, I mean, he's doing well for himself.
He had 12-3, right?
I'm not sure how he ended up.
I think he had a 12-3.
Yeah.
But it's impressive.
Obviously, did pretty well for himself, and he's obviously somebody that we've seen come up through the Star City circuit, and now he's making his way to the Pro Tour. So it's kind of cool to see him come
when you were
along.
saying that sentence, I really just wanted to finish it with downtown, making his way downtown, walking fast,
Faces pass.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think we want to talk too much about these, unfortunately, but
No, they're limited. I didn't watch any of them.
the tournaments at the near or in this case in the exact same spot as the Pro Tour are always nifty because it's definitely the GP. The GPs throughout the year that have the highest percentage of just like pros and really impressive players.
Yeah,
and it's always cool to see those top 8s because you're just like, man, even in a field where all these sharks should be attacking each other, it's still get out there. It's crazy.
So it was a good weekend to go to Toronto because we had Cuneo top 8, but we didn't see as many big names in that tournament.
I do want to say, a buddy of mine who I've talked about before, he did well. He had top 8 at GP Mexico City. I went to the Pro Tour with Wally. Mm-hmm. That Toronto tweeted out a picture. I think it was when they were both 7-1 or 8-0 on day one of this 13-year-old he had to play, and it was like 13-year-old blank. And I can't remember this person's name, but they were like competes to go for this against his opponent. His opponent was Wally, so like his opponent was he's just like, oh, you're just the opponent in the tweet. I think he finished like 11-4, so he did, not a bad turn. But he posted that. That was the funniest thing. Where it's like, his opponent is like, "Oh, that's cool. You get to be the villain." Do you want to talk? So before we go to Atlanta, do you want to talk about this PTQ real quick?
Yeah, so there was a Magic Online PTQ. It was standard.
Yeah, we don't normally talk about these, but
This is spicy though.
yeah.
Very spicy. Lots of spice. Lots of interesting decks to kind of take a look at here.
Yeah, timely right before the Pro Tour.
Oh, yeah.
So how about this first place list here?
Yeah. This is blue-white God-Pharaoh's Gift.
Told you that card was sweet.
It's real.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different builds of these decks online right now, but this is the one that obviously I've seen a little bit now. Having had to play against it a few times, this is a pretty interesting list. So obviously it revolves around God-Pharaoh's Gift, but it's playing some cards that really haven't seen standard play since their printing, including Cataclysm Gearhulk.
Yeah, I thought that was the red one, and then I was like, oh no, it's the white one.
And Angel of Invention.
That one actually started seeing a little bit.
It's all a little bit of play, but like they're both like that's a 4 of and a 3 of the Gearhulk in this list, which is pretty sweet. The Gearhulk is insane to bring back with God-Pharaoh's Gift because like the God-Pharaoh's Gift deck definitely like having played I built a blue-black cycling version of it. I was playing for a little while. The deck was fun. And actually is really powerful. But one of the issues with the deck is that once you have a God-Pharaoh's Gift and you want to stabilize, it can be kind of hard to do that against an oppressive board. Well, Cataclysm Gearhulk says, nah, don't worry. All you're going to choose is Artifact and target that God-Pharaoh's Gift, and Creature and target the Cataclysm Gearhulk, and you're sitting okay. Not to mention the fact that bringing back like Angel of Invention, and you can just put 2 counters on it, makes it a 6/6 haste, flying, vigilance, first strike, lifelink.
Just lifelink.
Oh no, first strike.
No.
Oh, I thought I had first strike. Oh, okay. Either way, it's pretty obnoxious. And there's this red deck running around. I don't know if you've seen it. It's pretty popular on Moto. It did pretty well in a couple events this weekend. They can't beat this card. They actively cannot beat a 6/6 flying Angel. They just can't do it. So they could try to make it not block, but it already got to attack. So that's
and
bad.
already gained 6.
Yeah.
And,
So
yeah.
but it's a bunch of cool things. I know Dave, you
Yeah.
like the Mausoleum Wanderers a lot.
So when I first saw the list, I was like, that's pretty random. And then I was like, oh, wait. If you bring that card back with God-Pharaoh's Gift, it's a 4/4.
Yeah.
And then you can... It's not a mana leak. It's a... What's the one?
Spell Shrivel.
Spell Shrivel, yeah.
Yeah.
You can Spell Shrivel them. So
Also just a 4/4 flyer.
pretty... Yeah, it's pretty funny. I don't know if that ultimately makes the cut and, maybe it's something that, maybe a more streamlined list, but it's pretty funny. They have this card here from Hour of Devastation, Champion of Wits. Seems good.
Card seems good. Yes.
Yeah, this card has been...
I'm glad I didn't I'm glad when I looked at that card, I didn't threaten to eat a hat or something.
Yeah.
I may
the
have.
second hat that you had to eat.
I don't think the first one's made it all the way through my body yet. I just want you to understand it hurts.
Still pieces of it just all over the place.
I do want to say this card is playing the best card in Standard, Thraben Inspector. Now,
yeah.
So if this deck wins the Pro Tour with a 4/4 Thraben Inspector, Thraben Inspector needs to be banned. It's just too powerful.
Morgan, I will say Thraben Inspector is not the only 1-mana 1/2 in this deck.
No,
We also
that
have
is true.
the Minister of Inquiries,
Yep.
which I had to look at because I didn't know what it did.
Oh no,
By the way,
it's a
that's-
milk card.
How is that card a 1/2? Look at the art of that. He's ripping a phone book in half.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, he should at least be like a
2/2.
5/5.
He's at least be as powerful as a bear.
What's funny is I've seen this card played a bunch. Actually, a local player, Eric Rose, has played this a bunch in his various
like
emerge builds. Yeah, which is pretty interesting. It does a lot of work here. This deck also so if it's playing God-Pharaoh's Gift, it's playing Gate to the Afterlife, but the biggest draw to playing white is actually Refurbish.
Yeah.
Because it leads to the craziest draws where you can just bring a God-Pharaoh's Gift back in on turn 4.
In Refurbish, for those that don't remember, because it's been a little while
fair.
since this card's been printed. It was in Kaladesh. It's basically a Zombify for artifacts. So it's 3 and a white, return target artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield. So up until this point, we haven't really had an artifact worth bringing back.
I mean, people were doing it with Gearhulk. There was a red-white build for a little bit
Yeah.
that was playing the red Gearhulk, actually.
Yeah.
But this can also get back Cataclysm Gearhulk once again. So you can also refurbish a Wrath effect. But like between that, you're also strategic planning to help put things in the graveyard. Obviously, we said Minister of Inquiries and Champion of Wits, but it's also running for the Ipnu Rivulet, which is the uncommon Blue Desert, which mills
That
4.
mills, yeah.
And like, it's pretty interesting that how many of these, I think all of them are seeing play now, because the black one's seeing play in Zombies, the white one is seeing play in Monument, like.
The red one for sure.
The red one for sure is seeing play. The green one's seeing play in the ramp decks.
Yeah,
like we've already talked.
Maybe these are the most underrated. Even maybe even more underrated
all
than Champion
deceptively, just like crazy powerful. Apparently,
I'm glad that we talked about them.
I am
we
too.
almost didn't.
Because think about how many random, like, you think back to Battle for Zendikar and how many random lands we had that had these interesting activations and had extra abilities, and how few of them actually saw play. So for these to all immediately come in and do something, they are definitely pretty powerful.
I think the obvious difference is the fact that they add colored mana in addition to colorless,
absolutely.
and we haven't had anything since the Painlands rotated out.
That's true.
So obviously we've seen, I mean, not necessarily in this deck, but we've seen Eldrazi cards have like a resurgence in Standard because now the mana is much better in these decks that you want to play it in. I've seen red. We've obviously seen red versions with Eldrazi's. I've seen black decks with Eldrazi's. It's kind of a new lease on life on those cards. They're about to rotate, but we'll have them for a little while longer anyway.
One last thing about this deck. It has Void Winnower in the sideboard.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, what's that? Oh, you just bring it back and then you just shut off your opponent's deck.
But hilariously, it's just a 4/4.
Yeah, kind of,
It's kind of an oddball there, but I don't know exactly what that's for, but I'm sure there are decks that just completely fold to that ability where they can't play even colored spells.
It's also pretty good against the ramp decks.
Even mana spells.
Like the ramp deck that can never cast Ulamog then. That's really sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the other deck we really want to talk about from this, there's some other cool things. There's the second place list is a blue-black zombies list that has Ambit Eternal and the Scarab God, so we saw that playing around. Mm-hmm. But I think, Morgan, you definitely want to talk about the ninth place list, right?
Ooh, going all the way down to 9.
Or do you want to talk about sixth place first? Because this is another deck that's seeing a bunch of play on Moto.
You want to talk about Samet the Tested?
Which list?
In the 5th place.
Oh yeah. We got tweeted out about this too, and I don't know what to tell you. To be fair, if there's a deck that's going to play Sam at the Tested, it's going to be this
Pummeler deck.
It's going to be Pummeler, but I don't know. It still seems bad.
Wouldn't you just rather play like the 3 mana card that?
+1/+1 and double strike as an instant?
Yeah,
it probably wouldn't be terrible.
I mean, you do you.
Sam with the Tested is literally worse than Temur Battle Rage, but like that's sad, but it's the truth.
It is true.
But anyway, I want to talk about the sixth place, which is the red black control.
This is a very odd list.
Yeah. Hey, look, Goblin Dark Dweller is still in the format.
Oh yeah,
hey, remember that card?
A card you can cast. Turns out.
Why are all these cards still in Standard?
Yeah, and Kalidas, which they were in the same set, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 3 Chandra, Torch of Defiance, 4 Liliana the Last Hope, then 4 Glintstleeve Siphoner, 4 Glorybringer, a Goblin Dark Dwellers, a Gonti, Lord of Luxury, 3 Kalidas, 2 Doomfall, 3 Live Fast, 4 Braid, 2 Fatal Push, 4 Grasp, and lands. Including a Blighted Fen, by the way. Those Battle for Zendikar lands making that comeback.
Yep.
Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. Like, black-red, I'll call black-red control, maybe mid-range. Like, it's got a lot of, like derpy creatures. This is an interesting deck, though. Like, it takes advantage of things like Doomfall, which is pretty cool.
I think the Glint Sleeve Siphoner is an interesting choice in this deck because we've kind of seen that in more aggressively slanted like green-black decks, And this is definitely more of a control deck, more of a mid-range, play some planeswalkers and some removal spells and some larger creatures. So it seems a little out of place, but it does kind of bridge you into that mid-game, kind of nicely.
Yeah, that's like, you're not Dark Confidant. I would like you to be Dark Confidant, but you're not. But we'll still make you work.
The nice thing is, so the deck is also playing Live Fast, which hasn't seen a ton of play, but that's the draw 2, you lose 2 life, and you get 2 energy. So you can set it up so you can go turn 2 this, and then turn 3, you can live fast and set yourself up to have enough energy with an attack to get 2 draws out of the Glintstleeve Siphoner, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if this will be a thing at the Pro Tour, but it's definitely a list that kind of jumped out when you look at this PTQ top 8.
Sure. And then ninth place, because I know ninth place made Morgan really excited.
Oh yeah, so this is a different version of another deck that I saw that did well in a another Magic Online PPTQ, but this is Blue Red Eldrazi. This is a little bit different of a different list. Like this list is like playing Herald of Kozilek, which is interesting to say the least. But we already talked about the sort of the pseudo pain lands that we have in Standard that really give the Eldrazi cards a bit of a resurgence before they rotate out. And we're seeing this. This is an Eldrazi deck through and through. We have your Reality Smashers, your Thought-Knot Seers, your Metallic Mimics naming Eldrazi, which is great. The Sky Spotters, Elder Deep Fiends, like the whole crowd's here. This deck feels wrong because it doesn't have the only Drowner of Hope in it. This particular version.
Ooh. Yeah, the other version had one, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it seems like that's something you want somewhere
yeah.
in the 75. If not main deck. Man, that card is just pretty ridiculous and modern if you can cast it. Seems like it should be good in Standard, but maybe you just have enough other giant things going on. Other Deep Fiends are pretty big, though. So
They certainly are. But I really think that it's cool that we could have, a Standard format where this can exist and this can still be a thing. It may not be the best thing, but it is a way that you can kind of get those Eldrazi cards a little bit more work before you have to say goodbye to them.
this definitely reminds me of like the blue-red like artifact deck that had like from was it Pro Tour Origins?
I believe so.
Yep.
With the Shrapnel Blast and I can never remember the name of this card.
It has
Soul
I was
Artifact.
gonna say
Yeah.
it's the giant scissors.
Yeah, because like that format was also a large format, and you just had like, you still had the Darksteel Citadel in the format with, some new like artifacts matter cards like Whirler Rogue and all that stuff from that set. So I mean, you see, things that are about to rotate from Oath of the Gatewatch, and then you also have these new deserts that have kind of come in and allowed us to play some new combinations with those cards. So they're only going to be together for a short period of time, but it's pretty sweet that we get a format that we can do that in.
Yeah, so I want to at least mention these just because this had a couple of interesting strategies that might lead us towards the Pro Tour. So
yeah. So let's move into Atlanta. And Atlanta was a team event. It was team constructed. So you got to see a little bit of everything over the weekend if you really wanted to. And it was won by Team Stevens, Ross, and Keith. So Tom Ross, Todd Stevens, and Jody Keith.
AKA Dapper Todd and the Bayou Boys.
Which is, wow, that's great. And they defeated the Metagame Gurus team of
Jim Davis.
Yeah, Davis, King, and
Jim Davis,
King,
Kevin King, and Dan Jessup.
Yeah. King was their legacy ringer, as it were. So congrats to the members of Team Metagame Guru on that team. Sorry you couldn't take the whole thing down, but what are you going to do?
And the winning team actually, I don't think, lost a match. So,
I mean, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
And I mean, you had Tom Ross there who was playing an aggressive red deck. So
he was in his element,
and just watched him win game. Watching, so you had a couple of good teams in this top 8. Otherwise, like the team of Long and Syed. Obviously, Zan Syed had just top 8'd.
Yeah.
You have the Grace, Führer, and Jones, right?
Yep.
Go back and watch the quarterfinals. Watch the game. I think it was game 2, where Tom Ross beats Zan Syed, where he mulligans and has 2 spells and just lands in hand, and only draws 2 more spells the rest of the game and just wins.
Yeah, he drew 8 lands.
It was unbelievable, how he put this together, and he's just totally calm the whole time. Just like me, I'm by the time I draw the 8th land, I'm just yep, cool. And he it's kind of scary sometimes watching some of those games where he wins. And if you go ahead.
To be fair, Zan did win that match.
I understand.
So,
but it was
yeah.
still crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely impressive. I think that particular game may have more been the fact that the 4-color emerge deck was pretty clunky.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, usually when you draw 8 lands with a red deck, like aggressive red deck, you're not going to win. But yeah.
I do want to make mention too that I know that Keith had a lands article this week on Star City, and obviously he's a good lands player. And if you read Todd Stevens' article today, he literally talked about his deck and he talked about Tom Ross's deck and didn't even post a list for Keith's. He just said, and we knew he wasn't going to lose a match in Legacy. So, and that's it. Like, that's all he had to say. It was like he wasn't going to lose, and it was like, this is a really crazy called shot. Stop it. Like.
Yeah, and even Stevens,
Stevens.
even Stevens.
I remember that show. With a little bit more of a saner Shia LaBeouf.
That's what they should have named their team.
No, that guy goes to jail a lot now.
Okay. He played the green-white Value Town deck that he's been streaming with a little bit.
Deck is sweet.
Yeah. But anyway, deck has a pretty good Death Shadow matchup, and we saw a good amount of Grixis Death Shadow in the modern section there. So he definitely got some nice matchups, which, I mean, it makes sense. I think, you would have to expect there to be a lot of Grixis Death Shadow in a team event like this. So, it was a good call on his part. But he did pretty well for himself, too.
Anytime I see a green-white deck in Modern, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have those cards, Oh man, yeah, I have this and this and this. And then I see like Horizon Canopy, I just want to like throw everything out. I just want to be like, I'm done. I'm done with this.
Why? Just like the guy just pushing everything off his desk. Just like,
yeah, just like, Horizon Canopy, most expensive card in Modern. $100. Sold out on Star City Games. Please reprint that card. Somewhere. Somehow. Please do it.
Well, they did it somehow. It wasn't the right way.
It wasn't the right way.
You're right.
The masterpiece, which it's a nice masterpiece to have.
So,
please do it.
You need to have a real reprint.
Please do it in a sensible way.
Dominaria cycle of.
No, they can't.
I know they can't. I know they can't do a cycle of that.
Possibly make a cycle of that. You cannot have a blue-white sack draw land. Are you insane?
We're not getting.
I can dream.
Yeah.
We're not getting another master set next year, are we?
Yeah, we are.
You're getting like
25th anniversary. We have iconic masters this year, and then 25th anniversary masters next year.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember if it was a modern.
It could certainly be,
or another.
I
weird
doubt
one.
it would be an iconic masters, but it could certainly be in 25th anniversary.
Just put it in the green-white Commander Cats deck, when we'll be fine.
No, you won't, because then you have something as MSRP of $35 that casuals want that you're going up and buying as many copies as you can for your $100 Horizon Canopy. It would be so much worse than True Name Nemesis. Like, unbelievably worse than True Name Nemesis.
I know, I understand.
No, Morgan, what if they do reprint it, but then they make it a mythic like they do with Cavern of Souls?
I just be tilted. Just be tilted out of life.
Would that make you flip the table again?
Yeah.
And flip it back?
Yeah.
On
Cavern of Souls is still like,
somebody would be nice
back
to pick
to
up all your stuff for you.
$50 card.
Push it off.
Leave it there. It's there for a reason.
Cavern of Souls is still expensive.
Cavern of Souls is still like 30, 35, $40.
Oh, it's
well, it's better than 80 or whatever it was before.
It wasn't 80.
It's pretty up there.
Cavern of Souls is a $50 card. And I want you to know this.
I'm glad I own them.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I own 2.
Right.
But I always need 1.
Anyway.
Need 1.
Anyway, yeah, Green-White Company. Ramanap Excavator doing work. Just like I predicted.
The Remnant Excavator and Zuza, Lost But Seeking, pretty sweet together with like a Ghost Quarter. Like, pretty good.
Even if they're playing a lot of basics, you can just run them out of basics.
I mean, you can play 3 Ghost Quarters in a turn. Like, that's not all right. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, so it's interesting how much we had a lot of Grixis Death Shadow and a lot of lands, a lands versus lands final for Legacy. So
yeah, that was fairly interesting. I mean, we had a good amount of Delver decks too in Legacy, but yeah, there were a lot of lands. It seemed like. I got to be honest, I wasn't that engaged with the standard part of this tournament. There was a lot of mono red, and it was just like, I don't know. There was some variation on like what people were doing. I know like Tom Ross was splashing black for Scrap Peep Scrounger, and he was playing things like Built to Smash in his deck. We had some more traditional, low to the ground versions. I think Jim Davis was playing kind of a traditional, a lot of low drops and burn spells and things like that. And I believe we had some some of the Eldrazi versions that we saw Jonathan Job play. So
It was the most popular day 2 deck.
yeah.
And I don't know how much we want to, like, so we talked about the PBTQ, or the PTQ. I don't know what other list we want to talk about too much here. We're going to do some PT prep anyways. Additionally, some things, we might have to wait for the PT. I don't know. But there were tons of mono red, and those were the decks that were doing well. And part of that you can also take to the structure of, like, this kind of format. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to play a team format, then, like, the mono red deck gets a lot of free wins. You know what I mean? Like, by itself in an open, may still, like, it's going to maybe struggle a little bit, or at least not as many are going to rise to the top. But in this team format where, like, you just want to try and, like, maybe use your standard deck to steal wins sometimes.
Did you see what won the classic?
Oh, I saw it won that too, though. Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm looking at raw numbers. You know what I mean? Like, now, granted, the classic could have been just full of mono red too. The deck is very popular for sure. But what I'm saying is, like, in a team format, I could totally see that. Like, you see a lot of times. I think I don't know if there's any in this topic. I thought there was. Yeah. So like the fourth place team, that Burn is their modern deck, right? Like, Burn as a modern deck is not one that's, like, doing well consistently at the opens. Like, it's fine, but in a team event, sometimes you just want to have one of your team members just playing a deck that's out there to spike people. Just like, oh man, I'm just going to take this. So
Like lava spike people?
Quite literally.
Yeah. One thing I did notice, and I guess this is my last kind of thought on this tournament, is the Grixis Shadow list in Modern. I expected to see a decent amount of Claim to Fames, and that's kind of a card that a lot of people thought would, goes right into that deck. We really didn't see any. I saw one that had, like, one in the sideboard. A lot of the lists did not have it, and that was surprising to me. I played in the Comic Town Modern Classic over the weekend, and played against a couple different Shadow lists that had Claim to Fame. Even ones that I didn't play against, I saw that had Claim to Fame, so a lot of people there had it. So I don't know if it was a thing where, people didn't want to experiment too much with the open, maybe just wanted to play a list that they already knew was good, didn't want to mess with it too much.
Sure.
I don't know, but
makes a lot of sense.
It was a little surprising to me.
I enjoyed watching this format. I will say it was pretty interesting to see, like, granted, you don't want to pay attention to the comments that much, but people were, like, mad every time they showed Standard. Like, it's like they were saying, like, you could show Modern or Legacy. Stop picking Standard. And I thought that was interesting because we just said Standard's better, but Star City Games has distanced itself from Standard a little bit. We're not gonna have another Standard open until after the next set, until after Ixalan. So it's kind of interesting.
I mean, I like watching all the formats, and I even do enjoy watching Legacy, even though I don't really play the format, just because you don't get to see it all the time. But there are some matchups in Legacy that are just miserable.
Oh,
like, you get, like, some of these prison decks with, like, Chalice of the Voids and all that. It's just
Here's
like,
the deal. If you've seen Lands play once, you never need to see it again.
Yeah,
that deck is more boring than watching paint dry.
Yeah,
like, I'll play Lands. I'll life from the low my Lands back until I have a 2020. Yeah. We did it.
It's gotten a lot better. The deck is a lot faster now that it has the Thespian Stage Dark Depths combo. It can actually kill quicker than...
It certainly is, but, like, I don't know if it's a compelling watch, okay?
No. And, there are a lot of those style of decks in Legacy that are just, like, either they're just going to shut off whatever you're doing and then grind you out, or it's just, like, I don't know. There are definitely some matches that just aren't great. Now, for every one of those, though, you do get... I did see... Tan and Grace was playing a Delver deck against Sneak and Show, and he got Emrakul in, like, turn 2 or turn 3 and won. So he had no permanents, was at, like, 3 life, and came back and won. So that was pretty cool. But I don't know. I think Star City did a good job of highlighting all the different formats. Obviously, you're not just going to show Legacy and
right.
and Modern. And when you have people like Tom Ross playing a red deck, it's like, yeah, you're going to put him on camera.
I'm just saying, I was just surprised by the sort of revolt against it. It was, and I granted, again, it's comments and whatever. So
yeah.
Do you want to mention the classics?
We could definitely talk about them. So the Standard Classic, like we said, was won by Mono Red Aggro, piloted by Travis Ryder, defeating Blue White Monument, piloted by Jonathan Rossum in the finals. So
he lost in the finals again, huh?
It's pretty rough for poor Jonathan Rosso there.
He's still doing okay for himself.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, rough beats.
Yeah.
The God-Pharaoh's gift deck is here in 7th.
Yep, and we also have Green Red Ramp, Mono Black Zombies, Blue Red Control, and another copy of Zombies, another copy of Blue Red Control in the top 8. Which you have a couple of overlaps, but all in all, pretty nice amount of decks being shown.
A nice spread.
A nice spread, which we haven't had for
Even the
quite some
Look at all
time.
the fine
the
cheeses.
Todd Stevens 5-color Planeswalker list makes it the top 16.
Look at that. And you even had like a couple of Green Red Pummeler lists, show up. Again, that is another sort of. It feels like we do have a fairly aggressive standard, which I'm perfectly fine with. Please,
I just want to go back
please.
to listen to Morgan on the Palooza. I was like, I just don't see any aggressive decks.
No,
There's-
I was in a bad spot.
you can hear the old man chewing on a cigar while he's
I was-
cursing. There's nothing here. Ah.
I was in a bad place. I'm glad there's people out there with a far more expansive imagination than what I have.
Doing God-Pharaoh's work.
Doing God-Pharaoh's work, man. But nothing too other than the blue-white deck we already talked about. Nothing too surprising. We in modern we see it was won by Tribal Zoo, which is we talked about that recently, didn't we?
Yeah, this is the one
It
with
was
Death
last week.
Shadows in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Defeating Affinity. So that was Daniel Keegan's defeating Alex Vess in the finals there. Guess who shows up in the top 4? Why if it isn't Solmalka? Guess what he's playing? The Rock.
I didn't think you were going for that. But
Dave's getting all pumped for the Delver of Secrets. Grixis Delver deck.
Grixis Delver.
So I was like,
oh, what up, baby?
we
That
have
is not the B word I thought you were about to say. I was really confused. I was like, Morgan's got to beep things.
You're back.
Yeah, I had to give him a shout out to Solmalka. Doing Solmalka things. At some point in time, they're just gonna have to change like the colors black and green of Magic to Sol and Molka. So it could just be Sol Molka. Sol / Molka mid range.
Yeah. Saul Walker was playing his traditional one traverse the open wall kind of delirium, but not really black green deck. But yeah, I mean, he obviously knows the deck very well. He has done very well over the past handful of events or whatever he's played in.
Yeah.
So,
but Grixis Delver.
Yeah.
So this is the third place list provided by Troy Smith. And it's all the favorites.
Not the Heisman Trophy winner, Troy Smith.
Not that Troy Smith.
I'm guessing. Maybe.
Probably not that Troy Smith.
Probably not. Yeah, it's a Grixis Delver deck. That's I don't.
It has what your body wants.
Yeah.
By that I mean it's full of electrolytes.
Electrolyzes?
Does it actually have electrolytes in it?
No.
Yeah,
it is not full of electrolytes.
It is full.
But it does have an Izzet Staticaster. That's kind of.
That's kind of. It's close.
Yeah.
It's not really much to say about it. It just exists.
It exists. There's nothing real crazy going on here. I will say it's surprising to me just because I don't think it's as good as Grixis Shadow. But it does have some different things going on, like Young Pyromancer and things like that. So it does have a little bit of a different angle than the Grixis Shadow list. And like, if you're not using your life total as aggressively, you might be a little bit better in some other matchups. So, but hey, I'm happy to see it. It's always nice to see Delver deck pop up here and there.
And lastly, for Legacy, we had Infect. So if you still want to play that deck and have a lot of money, you still can. You just have to switch formats. Piloted by Zachary Koch.
It's probably Coke.
Coke, yeah.
That's the most common way to say it.
Yeah, Coke. And then they defeated Sultai the Shadow in the finals.
Yeah, Justin Parnell.
Justin Parnell.
From, he does the Commander things? With Star
I
City?
believe so.
Is that right?
Commander things or the Mini Masters things, or I think it's Commander though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
man.
Death Shadow getting everywhere.
Do you see?
Snuff Out?
Oh my gosh! I was looking like Snuff Out. Ooh.
Yeah, you wish you had that card in Modern.
Oh please.
I mean,
I don't know actually know if that
we
card
have
would be great.
Dismember
but
already, but it's probably just
That
better.
card is so.
I think Snuff Out would actually be bad in Modern. Like, oh, a bunch of Tassigers and Gurmag Anglers and Death Shadows? Sweet.
Yeah, sure. It's not going to always be great.
Yeah.
Can still kill a Snapcaster, man. I don't know.
All you have to do is control a swamp. Like,
It is pretty nice to go, like, have the ability, if it were in Modern, no, we're hypothetical here, you could turn one Thoughtseize and also snuff out their, like, Noble Hierarch on the same turn. Like, that'd be pretty nice.
Yes. It is 0 mana.
And then next turn you cast a Death Shadow and then they die. Yeah. Yeah.
The lines of play, they're fairly strong.
You're hurting my brain. I can't. They're not going to give it to me.
No, not at all. No, you can't. They would have to filter through standard first.
That's still in the cube. Stuff out, or did you take it out?
It's been in and out over the last couple of years.
Man, I love that card.
It's been snuffed in and snuffed out.
Yeah. Yes.
Snuff in, snuff out, snuff. Breathe in, breathe out.
No, it's good. No, it's funny. That's about.
Hold on, I guess I didn't get it to the right song. But I'll try this. Ready? Snuff in, snuff out, snuff in. Got a machine head.
All right, that was, I guess, a little bit better.
There you go.
But you had to tell us what the joke was, so that wasn't great. Yeah, we'll give you a C- on that one.
All right, is that everything for all of the tournaments that we want to talk about?
I think so.
All right. Well, before we move on to our Pro Tour talk, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsor, BCW Supplies, purveyors of many a fine supply for your TCG, CCG, collectible card, collectible comic need. They got some sweet new sleeves, and they are the Deck Guard Elites. These are high quality, very, very nice, professional looking sleeves. They're very tantalizing. I need every single one of them I can possibly get my hands on. Hopefully, we can work out some giveaways so we can get some sleeves into your hands so you can try them and never look back. Just never look back. Just always have a preferred sleeve choice being these awesome looking sleeves. Now, they've had the Team Metagame Guru guys testing them for quite some time, so they're definitely a quality product and they can hold up from tournament to tournament. So they are a step above their introductory sleeve that they offer, and I can't wait to actually sleeve up a deck and play them.
A murderous cut above.
A murderous cut above, yeah.
Good. I was just trying to stick with our snuff out like rule spell conversation.
Yeah.
I cut to ribbons above wasn't as good.
You might even pay the ultimate price for them.
That's good. That's good.
But definitely, if you are interested in check them out at BCW Supplies.
I mean, if you use other brands, you're leaving things a chance.
I wish I could think of more Doomblade-esque cards. But I don't want to, actually. We need to continue with the show. So if you are interested in purchasing some, you can do so via bcwsupplies.com and order directly from them and get them shipped to your home. So, the Pro Tour happening. It's going to be in Japan. It's very exciting.
I'm a little extra excited about this one because if you didn't know, my first Pro Tour was in the last Pro Tour Kyoto.
Yeah,
was my first Pro Tour.
So we'll come full circle for Dave.
Yeah, I'm not qualified for this one though,
unfortunately. But what are you going to do?
You'd already be there.
yeah, I'd probably already be there. But Kyoto is really nice city. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
It's the spiritual capital of Japan.
Very traditional.
So you have
a lot of
traditional old architecture, shrines and stuff like that.
A lot of shrines.
It is definitely like if you want to see like modern Japan, you go to Tokyo. But if you want to see more of a traditional idea of Japan, you would go to Kyoto.
Yeah, and that trip was kind of my first trip outside of like United States and Canada, and it was you definitely knew that you were in a different country.
There is a bit of culture shock, I imagine, that would go along with that.
Yeah, but it was cool. I liked it.
But I mean, if there was a place to go and just be completely out of your element, I'd want it to be Japan. I think that would just be a cool thing amongst all the other nerdy things that I am into. You know, a lot of them have originated or become popular due to Japan. So it's definitely something that would be cool to do. But I would definitely be like, I don't know what I'm doing here at all. I'm just a dumb American. Hello.
They have a lot of vending machines.
Yes, that is true. You can get bugs in the vending machine. Do you know that? At least in more populated areas, because bug collecting is big in Japan among children. So
they mostly had small cans of coffee, like these little there's like little Starbucks double shot.
I believe
things.
they have alcoholic ones as well.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they definitely had beer in the vending machines, and they also had this drink called Pocari Sweat. Which, I declined to try that, but that was an option. Yeah.
What does Pocari mean? Because like Poes in Zelda are ghosts, so I'm assuming it's just a can of Ghost Sweat.
Ghost Sweat. good Ghost Sweat.
Ghost Sweat.
So, obviously, there are a lot of storylines that kind of weave their way to the Pro Tour. This is is this the last one for the season?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And
it all comes down to this.
So obviously, Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year are going to be the ones that get decided after this Pro Tour for Great. I don't know. I'm not good at following the Pro Tour storylines and everything like that. Well, someone else should kind of guide the conversation.
Well, I have the article that Mike was so kind to link in the show notes. And we have Player of the Year, we have Rookie of the Year, we have the Draft and Standard Master races that are coming down to the wire here. We have the Pro Tour Team Series, which is going to be wrapping up here, and World Championship slots being decided. So lots of lots of stuff going on here.
I don't know if that's actually picking up, but Rush is very excited.
Yeah, he's decided to market for some reason.
He's very excited about the Pro Tour. Who wouldn't be?
Yeah, and then we also have our Pro Tour Hall of Fame inductees being announced at this Pro Tour. We're pretty sure.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I feel like we know two for sure, right?
Yeah.
So
Josh R. Layton for sure.
Yeah, I think it's for sure.
And I'm pretty sure Martin Hughes.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get it.
I mean, to be fair, it is a bit harder to get in.
It certainly is,
because
but I think those,
just
from the range of ballots I've read, those have been the pretty consistent ones. By the way, I don't know if you remember this from a while ago, but I mentioned I was confused why Nassif wasn't in because he had so many pro points. Yuza is who I was thinking of when I said Nassif before.
Yeah, Nassif was like one of the first.
Yuza has just like infinite pro points, but it's mostly GPs, which is why he struggled to get in. But he had another top 8 last year. So
yeah, he's been a player who's been pretty consistent on the Pro Tour. Not a ton of top 8s, but he's always somebody that's one of the best limited players and always is doing consistently pretty well. So yeah. I mean,
and I'm gonna hope for Pecula, but I don't think he's gonna get in. And I don't think.
I think it's a shame.
And I think if he doesn't get in now, I don't think he ever will. And I
think that's a crime.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
And not to socially judge anyone that listens to the show and didn't vote for him. Like, you made your decision, and that's okay. Like, I can understand the reasoning behind not voting him in. But I really do feel like he has contributed so much to the game, and it is a part of the reason why it exists and is. Has proliferated due to him being an early stickler on rules, and if he wasn't, that could have killed the game.
No, I agree with that. I think the problem for him is the further we get away from his prime, the less votes that he's going to get. He really hasn't put up any results recently. He's had a GP top 8 here and there, but he hasn't done anything on the Pro Tour.
And he'll be the Pro Tour, here in Kyoto, so hopefully, maybe this is where he starts it over again. But I don't really see it just because of just how life is.
It's not looking good. It would definitely be a surprise if he made it, and it would be cool, in my opinion, to see him get in. But hopefully, if he doesn't get in, hopefully he has a great tournament and he kind of reminds people like, hey, you know what, I'm still good enough. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So we're looking. So we know we have slots for the World Championship. We know that we have Player of the Year. Who should I be rooting for to win these things, Dave?
Reed Duke as always.
All right, well, fair enough.
No, I'm looking at the Player of the Year standings right now. Marcio Carvalho has a pretty substantial lead.
Jeez,
But
I didn't realize they had that much of a lead. Jeez.
Yeah, so he's got 78 pro points right now, and second place is, it's a tie between Shota Yasoka and Yuya Watanabe, both with 65. So I think the way that it broke down in the article here that Rich Hagan had was that basically one of those guys would need to top 8 the tournament, and Marcio would have to have like a minimum pro tour or minimum pro point get. So you get 3 just for showing up, and then if you had like 1 more for day 2 or something like that. So it's looking like Carvalho is gonna take it down, but I mean we have seen bigger upsets happen. We saw Mike Seegers have to make the finals of the Pro Tour to overtake. Was it Owen that year?
I don't know. It was either Owen or Efro.
Oh yeah, it was Efro.
Yeah.
So yeah, crazier things have happened. So
yeah.
we don't know for sure, but Carvalho has a pretty substantial lead. But Reed Duke's hanging around there at 64 pro points as well, so he has an outside chance. I don't know if Owen can unless he wins the turn. Yeah. 58 pro points. So, but yeah, so that one's not really as exciting to me. But I mean, Carvalho's been pretty consistent, obviously, for the past year, and finishing in the finals of Worlds to kick it everything off was pretty good head start for him.
We also have still the Draft Master and Standard Master races to look at, and all I can say is, please, Martin Yuza, draft like you've never drafted before. In conjunction with that statement, I will also say he is 1 point behind Travis Wu. And I would definitely like to see Martin Yuza win it more than Travis Wu. So.
Got Owen Turdenwald also tied with Martin Yuza.
Yeah, he gets the same amount of points there. How about this?
Christian Calcano.
Yeah, scrap all the other guys.
Christian Calcano. Get in there. Well, in Christian Calcano, I mean, he does have a Pro Tour top 8 this season. So I don't know where he stands in making it to Worlds on pro points, but it'd be cool to see somebody get in that wouldn't otherwise be qualified through one of these slots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, Travis Wu falls under that umbrella as well, I guess.
The standard one I think is actually really interesting. So you have Steve Hatto. So he's from Luxembourg, so I know it's probably Germanish sounding, but I don't know specifically. And then Sean McLaren, both tied with 69 points. And Sean McLaren has had one of the weirdest seasons because he's been relatively quiet, but he's been solid.
Like he's had a lot of top 16s.
I think I would love to see nothing against Steve here. I don't really know of you that much, but man, I would love to see Sean McLaren in a world championship situation. Like the master of the self-training style, and
he even put out an article this week on basically the guide of testing solo.
Yes. He's doing work for the little guy.
Yeah, Sean McLaren is definitely one of my favorite pros to kind of root for, just because he does kind of have a unique situation going on for him where he's testing mostly solo, though his brother has qualified for the last couple of Pro Tours here, so he I guess at least has one person to test with. But I don't know. I just think he's a really unique personality as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
He comes through in his writing and in his streaming. He's just kind of he's a little out there, but yeah.
And Lee Tien is also pretty close in that race. So
yeah, I was gonna say two guys kind of known for their modern prowess. Near the top of the standard master rankings here. We had Sean McLaren and Lee Tien, who've both done pretty well in modern.
Next up, we have is the team series leaderboard, and currently Team Musashi is well ahead. Well ahead of second place Genesis, 119 total points to 294.
Yeah.
And then after that, you have MTG Mint card. But after that, the team sort of it seems now. Granted, this one's tough because if a team has a good Pro Tour, then their points swing wildly, like
Yeah.
just wildly. But it's kind of cool because it's the top 2 teams that get that sweet playoff at the World Championship, and even right now, like, yeah, I'd watch a Genesis team, Musashi, like that sounds fun, but I'm kind of excited to see like this is interesting to me. Like, what can you do, as a team to try and get yourself here? Do you make like the Hail Mary deck choice, like in hopes of not just personal glory but also like team glory? Because team glory means more money.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting. I think you kind of hit it here. I mean, kind of the top 3 teams here, Musashi, Genesis, and ZG Mint Card, are all. You look at the rosters and you're like, okay, like we have names that we know. We have Yu Watanabe, when we have Brad Nelson, Seth Manfield, Li Shijian. I think Lingering Souls, like holding on to that 4th slot, like they really are the underdog team that I don't think anybody really expected them to be in this position. But we did have Chris Fennell making the last Pro Tour top 8, and then before that, Donald Smith making the Pro Tour at was it Aether Revolt? So they obviously have put players into top 8s, and that has helped them get to that spot. So we'll see what they do in this Pro Tour. If they get somebody else into this top 8, then that may solidify their 4th position there. But yeah, that 4th slot is definitely the one that's like definitely up for grabs. I mean, we have Puzzle Quest, which has Peach Garden Oath along with John Finkel Cuneo and Paul Rietzel like right behind him, only 1 point behind. And then you have Mutiny, which is Jerry Thompson and Sam Black's team. And then
David Ochoa.
Well, I'm trying to trim it down. Just a couple notes. Fine. David Ochoa, Josh Cho, Jerry Thompson, Justin Cohen, Matt Severa, and Sam Black. It's a solid team.
I just wanted to say David Ochoa.
Yeah, we all love David Ochoa and his food tweets.
It's great.
And then you have Eureka there with Valentin Mackel, Patrick Dickman, Steve Hatto. He's helped anchor that team. So yeah, I like. I really have enjoyed the whole team aspect.
Yeah, it's definitely like it has made it fun to follow, and I'm really looking forward to the team team match at Worlds. It's gonna be cool.
Did we ever talk about like the guidelines that they came out with for the team attire and all that stuff? I don't think we ever did.
I don't think we did. No.
Yeah, but it was a couple weeks ago or something. They came out with like basically like a dress code, and like your logo has to have a certain look to it, and your team attire has to have a certain look. So it's kind of interesting that they they're taking it seriously. Like they want people to if you want to be a professional player and be on a team, then you need to look the part.
Yeah.
So
branding. And then I think we can take a look at the they have stuff for pro club levels. People need to hit gold and to hit platinum. And obviously if people trying to lock up world slots. So this is going to be it's going to be a sweet weekend, I think, for Magic. So do you want to talk about maybe some decks and cards? I sort of set up 2 questions here, which is what deck should we be aware of? And we talked about standard a little bit, so maybe we just name a couple of decks we think that people are testing against, what is good against it maybe. And then I want to know what cards from Hour of Devastation you think will make an impact.
So, to answer your first question, I think that the deck that is obviously on every team's gauntlet and is the deck that you kind of need to measure against is the mono red aggro deck.
How many versions of it, though, do you put into your gauntlet? Do you just go with like the low to the ground one and call that the one of the gauntlet? Because that deck plays a little bit differently than the Eldrazi version does, but they're both pretty popular.
So there's an interesting way to test, and I want to say, I'm not even going to credit anybody for this because I don't know who came up with it. But basically, like if you play against the most aggressive version, and then it's like, okay, well, if you can beat the most aggressive version, then you can kind of go from there. Like maybe you scale back from that point. But it's like if your deck is not, say if you have an emerge deck or something like that, and you can't beat the most aggressive version of red, then it's not even worth playing.
Fair
because
enough.
you know that like teams are going to have a super aggressive version of red. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, like you said, there's a bunch of different ways you could go, but they all play very similarly. Now, once you add Eldrazi to the mix, I guess it's a little different, but I don't know how popular that'll be. To be honest, so
That's right. I think I would agree with you. Definitely, mono red does seem to be like the deck that should be like at the top of your testing based on motor results. Beyond that, it's tough to tell. Our standard event was pretty diverse. We have a couple of pretty stock lists still hanging around, but I don't know what's actually going to be good at the Pro Tour. It seems to me like Blue-Red Control is a solid bet for a deck that a team likes, but Blue-White Control is picking up steam too, and that's another version that people like.
I really think this Blue-White gift deck is really throwing a wrench into people's plans. Now, I don't know if some teams maybe had that under wraps, and then maybe like somebody had, the one that won the PTQ maybe was slightly different from what the pros had, but that could be something where like maybe they were holding on to that for the Pro Tour, and that's like, oh man, it got out, and now everybody's prepared for it. So I'm really interested to see like how much graveyard hate people are going to have. Yeah,
we've already seen like Crooked Condemnation show up a bunch. What's amazing to me though, and I think that people have to be careful. I said having played a God-Pharaoh's gift deck a little bit, having seen the one that's running around on Moto. All the mono red decks are packed with some number of abrades, all the way up to 4. The blue-red control decks are playing abrades. The Team Energy decks are playing abrade. And you could say maybe that deck's not as popular now as it once was, but any deck with access to red is currently playing abrades, in a much higher numbers than I thought we were going to see compared to Harness Lightnings. And that deck still won a PTQ, and it's still doing pretty well. So it's got to tell you right now that you're going to have to attack the deck on a different axis. If you just think like, oh, well, I have a braid, I can destroy the God-Pharaoh's gift, it's not going to do enough.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like at Pro Tours, people are going to have the best list of this. You know what I mean? They're not going to play a list that just rolls over to like, oh, you had a Crook of Combination. Oh, I can't win now.
Right.
Like they're going to be prepared for it. These testing teams, they know that okay, this is a popular deck, or this is becoming a popular deck. What are people going to do against this? And then what can we do to counter that? I mean, they're going to be on that next level.
Again, I've said this word so many times in here, but it's so refreshing to have something to have to metagame for. It isn't just like, all right, do I play Marvel or do I play the deck that tries to beat Marvel? Like, no, it's like you have to be the red deck. You have to be aware of God-Pharaoh's gift. You have to, be prepared for what version of control there might be. The various Planeswalker decks. Like, I feel like I am very looking forward to, and I'm hoping that there's either a new deck or like the best version of one of these decks that comes out and you can see. And I really think like for the first time in a long time, I do think you might see a standard format where a deck and a team could break it. Yeah. Like it feels like it could be broken, and I haven't felt that way about standard. Like we saw it with modern, we saw Eldrazi, and I don't think you can break standard to the level that Eldrazi broke standard.
Right.
Or broke modern.
Yeah.
But
like literally broke it. Like they did away with the modern Pro Tour after that.
Error. But I think that man, there's so much here. So you like the God-Pharaoh's gift deck as a breakout. Obviously we have mono red in our testing.
I also think the God-Pharaoh's gift deck is an example of like a deck that broke it and won a PTQ.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Like people hadn't seen that, and it's just like, what the heck is this? Like Cataclysmic Gearhulk. How many blue-white monument decks have we seen? Like people have adjusted to that.
We had one in the finals of the Classic, but I agree. I said that you've seen a lot less of it online.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Man, it's really good against a monument board with Selfless Spirit. Cataclysmic Gearhulk.
Like we even saw Tom Ross playing the was it not open fire, the one that deals one damage to all your creatures.
Oh, Blazing Volley.
Yeah. He had some of those in his sideboard, so he was prepared for it.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see because then if people turn away from it, like the monument deck is still good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, man. So what cards from so deck wise we know mono red, we know there could be some forms of control. God-Pharaoh's gift is there. People are still going to have to test for zombies. I know, Dave, you're not as high on it, but it's still putting up plenty of results.
Yeah, I just think zombies is a little too one-dimensional for my taste. Now, the last Pro Tour was a little different because we didn't have as much of a variety of decks. And I think people definitely underestimated zombies going into that Pro Tour. I think even Jerry Thompson, who won the tournament, will tell you that like part of the reason why he played that is because people didn't respect it enough. Well, people definitely know it's a thing now, and it's a known quantity. It's not really doing anything particularly crazy. It just kind of does what it does. But if you let it do, what it wants to do, then it's going to run you over. But I do think it is beatable. But throw mono red into the mix, so now you have a couple different aggro decks you have to prepare for.
Zombies, you say, is very linear, and I know New Morgan's been playing it for a little bit, but like it's kind of the Wolverine of those decks, though. Like it's the best at what it does.
What it does isn't very nice.
It's
Bub.
It's resilient to a certain extent. Like you can rebuild, which is kind of the nice thing about it. And you do have decent sideboard options, even if you are mono black. I mean, like. You do have some pretty powerful planeswalkers in the color that can definitely help out with your more difficult matchups potentially. I mean, Hour of Devastation is going to be a beating, but sometimes they don't have it, and you get to have that benefit. But I think blue red control in general is going to be a hard matchup for most any aggressive deck anyway. And I think that red does have the edge because they could just be faster. Like they can get under.
Red is speed. Zombies is the is the downhill slope. You know what I mean?
And red has the reach too. I mean, you have the deserts that are gonna do those last
I will not
4 or 6 points of damage.
Deny you that reach is definitely something that is important. Now it is very something to note that sometimes. Your zombies just get bigger than 5 toughness.
We saw that.
That can happen.
We saw that in the. Was it this weekend? The team open was it the not to. Every time I've seen something cool happen, it seems like Zan Saeed is the one playing.
Yeah, it was Atlanta.
But his opponent's zombies are all 6/6s, and he could get this Kozilek's return back.
Didn't
matter. I think if you're looking at zombies, another way to look at it though, the blue black lists have been pretty gaining popularity.
That is another dimension, another avenue that they can go down. And the blue gives you access to obviously counter spells like negates in the sideboard. You get the Scarab God, which is can benefit be beating and is a difficult creature to actually remove.
I think Baleful, like if you're just going control decks, Baleflam, it's actually kind of tough for them.
Yeah.
Things like Abrade, like you've got to cast another spell and the Abrade to kill it, and if you don't, they're going to hit you and it's going to reset.
Yeah.
And I think compared to some of the other 3-drops, like that, that card, which I've seen pop up in those lists, can be tough for those decks to deal with. And I think like then if you're building a control deck that has to beat that kind of, black aggressively slanted deck that has some disruption. Versus the red deck that has speed and reach, and you've got to build the control deck that beats both. I mean, they're going to try and do it, but it's tough.
Yeah, and I think that,
and then still beat combo.
and still beat combo, and still try to beat like green black energy, which is another aggressively slanted deck that attacks on a different axis. So you definitely have a lot of ways that you can go. I mean, you still have vehicles that are in the format, and like not just Mardu vehicles, but just like people playing vehicle cards that you have to think about. A Braid helps, but is not the complete answer necessarily.
Yeah. We've seen Aether Sphere Harvester pop up as
it's getting a lot of popularity.
A way to fight the red decks that are seemingly running rampant on Magic Online.
Yeah. I played a League of Morgan yesterday that had. It was 4 out of 5. 4 out of the 5 were mono red. It's like, all right, that's cool.
I mean, that's kind of just how mono red is. If it's playable, then like people will play it online because it's relatively cheap. I guess
it's not though. Chandra's are 35 ticks right now.
You can just play the worst version of the deck without Chandra. It is a more poor version of the deck, but poor on every sense of the level. As far as like Hour of Devastation cards, the namesake Hour of Devastation will probably be there. Maybe we see Nicol Bolas. I mean,
oh man, wouldn't that just be sweet? Pro Tour Hour of Devastation, Nicol Bolas on camera.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Scarab God.
Yeah,
but not only just in zombies. I think you might see the Scarab God show up in like some kind of control deck or something.
I'm going to say a weird one, but only because I've been enjoying playing the deck so much. I'm going to say Riddle Form.
With Blue-Red Prowess.
I think a deck is legitimate, and it attacks on a different angle, and Riddle Form is noxious. Like, not being... I can't tell you how satisfying it is to play with that card, and not turn it on when your opponent obviously like saves mana for you to do it. And you're just like, no, it's cool. I'll just play this spell. Go. And then they have to pay the tax each turn, which like when you're essentially a tempo burn deck, you're like, thanks for not casting spells. And or when they do tap out, then you can just crush them. I feel like it's the kind of like fun card that like is powerful. Like, you know what card that it really feels like pretty consistently if you play it on turn 2? Delver's Secrets. just assume it's Delver's Secrets that wasn't able to flip for a turn, and then there you go.
It feels to me like, so I played that deck a little bit too, and to me it felt like a fair Smuggler's Copter. It's like a 2-mana 3/3 flyer.
Have you had a scry with it yet?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So it's nice. So yeah, if you do find yourself in the late game, then it's still fine. But like those draws, where you have 2 riddle forms, it's just like, oh
my god, you cast the first one,
lose.
The second one activates the first one to attack. The draws where you go riddle form into Fever Visions activate into Chandra activate.
Yeah.
That's spicy dish. So I think that like. I think I'm going to compare this set of Hour of Devastation to Riddle form. Like, I saw MTG Goldfish. What's the guy? I can't remember his name.
Saffron Olive.
Thank you. I already compared this set to Dragons of Tarkir. It's gone up a fair amount, and like they're calling it like a set that everyone was really low on. It pre-ordered really low, and all of a sudden has like a bunch of like gems in it. And seeing how this is played, it's kind of interesting. It's better than I think it's. Granted, I still think the number of cards that are playable are still in line with what we talked about in the Palooza, but the cards that are playable are really affecting the format in ways I didn't think they were going to.
Yeah,
and Riddle Form's a card we didn't talk about, and I'm sorry, Riddle Form. I'm ashamed of it. I can't take it back.
I think the biggest example of that, again, I mean, the deserts. I mean, I think those are cards that, on their face, the effects really aren't that great, but the fact that they essentially add 2 colors of mana, like if you consider colorless, being able to play things that require colorless mana, I guess when you look at it through that scope, it's like, okay, well.
So I also think a big factor to them is they come into play untapped.
Yeah.
I think that we have had so many lands in Standard that are just like coming to play tap lands, and it's been kind of infuriating. I think in a lot of ways, especially if you want to build an aggressive deck, you just can't be running around with a bunch of tap lands. It's not how the your archetype works. So being able to have these deserts come into play and be untapped and not have to set you back. Drastically increases their playability along with their actual function. So I think like that's why they are seeing as much play as they are, because they do not have that negative tempo kind of attached to them.
Yeah, I think as a whole, Hour of Devastation, it doesn't have a lot of wow factor cards, or like cards that's like, oh man, I need to like build a deck around this. But it has a lot of good cards and a lot of solid role players that have really enabled a lot of decks. I mean, like Champion of Wits is enabling a lot of graveyard strategies. Mm-hmm. Deserts are enabling all these Eldrazi strategies. We have God-Pharaoh's Gifts. I guess that's kind of a build-around card, but that was not a card that people were like going crazy about when we saw the spoiler. It's proving to be maybe a lot more powerful than people gave it credit for.
Hey, yeah. I give it credit.
I think we were on it a little bit, but yeah, we still didn't know what the decks were going to look like.
No, some of the decks that have popped out with that card have just been like, oh, like I said, like the blue-white deck, you're just like, oh, yeah, all right.
But yeah, it's cool. I mean, it in many ways it is like the set that we actually needed in Standard to kind of tie everything together.
Yeah, I think so. Last shout out, obviously, with Mono Red being a thing, but Earthshaker Kenra. Definitely a card that will be shaking some earths. They're in Tokyo. I mean, they're in Kyoto. Excuse me.
Wow! Just because they have the same letters.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible. I'm a terrible person. Anything else? I mean, I'm excited. It is weird to have a Pro Tour be happening at 8:00 at night. It's a prime time.
I'm kind of excited about it. Actually, the prime time. Oh man, wait. That means that means after 9:00, Hagon can curse.
I don't think that's how that works, unfortunately. If only, though.
Like, you're right. It's not how that works. They're not dictated by any sort of like standards and practices. They're not even on TV.
No, but I mean, I'm sure like WotC has, standards.
sure
as long as they don't
they
have,
do.
as long as they
The
don't,
nerds at WotC do.
Yeah,
I think they'll be okay as long as they don't interview Martin Muller again.
that's true. Yeah, they gotta stay away from that foul mouth.
I just want to see Nega Hagon smoking a cigarette, like on camera, cursing.
But see, like, I feel like Nega Hagon has like such a very slurish like British accent, like that you can't like. It's one of those where it's like, oh no, I'm like in the heart of England where I can't understand anyone, even though we are technically speaking the same language.
Nega Hagon has like the Cockney accent.
Yeah, just like indecipherable.
Hey, you gonna want that mad Pro Tour?
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that.
Probably nothing like that. I apologize to anybody.
That was pretty good. That was a lot better than those jokes you had earlier. So I'll give you that.
Hey, leave me alone. I tried.
Hey,
Okay.
you can't win them all. It's fine. You gotta shoot your shot.
But I think that kind of covers everything that we wanted to talk about for PT Kyoto, which is going to be happening. Basically for us, it's going to be happening Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're in the States, varying times after that for you folks. And I don't know, internationally, just look it up. I don't know what to tell you. It's on the website. Figure it out. Do math. Time zones are weird.
This is gonna be one of those weird things where like I wake up on Friday morning to get ready for work, and it's like, oh, the standard's on.
Yeah. It most certainly
see the
will
end
be.
of day one here.
And of course, there are obviously the restreams that do happen after the fact. So you can if you have your Friday free and available, you can watch what you didn't catch, which I think is pretty awesome. And then you can skip all the commercials and just go straight to magic. Magic. It's great. But that's the only big thing happening over the weekend. And then, that's pretty much it. So, that's it for us this week. If you downloaded us via iTunes, make sure you give us a review. Or if you got us via MTG Cast, be sure to check out some of the lovely shows they have there. If you want to reach out to us, we do have a Twitter. It's Your Endstep, and then when you add us, it's at Your Endstep. We also have a Facebook page. You can just do a quick search for at Your Endstep on there. Or if you want to email us, it's at yourendstep@gmail.com. We also want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Comic Town and BCW Supplies. They both can be found on Facebook as well by searching for their names. Fairly easy to find things on there. We definitely are going to be doing some more giveaways here in the future. And like I said, I hope we can get some of those elite deck cards to pass along to our lovely listeners. Most importantly, we have a Patreon. So if you guys want to, throw a little scratch our way and get some perks for being a Patreon supporter, please do so. We do appreciate it. You can find that at patreon.com/@yourendstep. That's it for everything this week. We'll catch you guys post Pro Tour Kyoto with all the hot new standard news, all the hot new standard scoops. And until next time, you have a great one. Bye.